Kata Upanishad. The Kata Upanishad, we are on chapter 2, part 2, first section, 6th verse. We had seen the 5th verse also briefly, and it had been speaking of that the indwelling self, it had been shown the indwelling self, which is non-different from the Supreme Self, that is God. Now, this Supreme Self is a self of all. That has to be understood. There is always a tendency when we read scriptures and we do some meditation and we try to understand the deeper doctrines of Vedanta, we feel, yes, I am kind of real, because what happens is we give reality to things. See, if we don't give reality to things, those things don't become so important, so real to us. And how do we give reality to things? By thinking and dwelling on them. So, just to have put in some corrective measures, because we are talking about the individual self as identified with the Supreme Self, that is God. People might think, I am kind of myself, that is my individuality, or my individual soul is more real than the external world, than all the other things around. We have that tendency to make ourselves real and everything else as unreal or unimportant or insignificant. I want my liberation. I want my happiness. I want my joy. And what happens is I kind of lower everything that's around me, people, places, things. And this is true even for those who don't read scriptures or don't try to find out the essence of the individuality. It's always like that. I am become kind of a center of the universe, and the whole universe is for me. Everything is kind of subservient to me. That's what makes it so difficult to attain absolute liberation. So this verse from the 6th to the 9th will be speaking of, as I say, the firstborn. And that will give us an idea that Supreme Self has been born, and we are all parts of that. There is no high or low reality within that entity. And what is that entity? It is called the firstborn. What's the firstborn? Like a mother might say, who has a few children, oh, this is my firstborn. That's not, yeah, in a way. The firstborn is Hiranyagarbha. That is the golden womb, the first cosmic individual, I would say. So the firstborn, born from where? Yeah, the verse will explain this. Ya purvam tapaso jatamabhya purvam achayata guham pravishyatishtantam यो भूतेभिर्व्यपश्यत etadvaitat. These a few verses now will have this etad vaitat. We have seen the previous verses also having it. This is that. What do you mean? This is that. This is that Atman, the self, that Nachiketa was inquiring, and the Upanishad is now constantly pointing it out to us that this is that self which Nachiketa was asking, which is beyond dharma and adharma, which is beyond virtue, vice, beyond the known and the unknown. This is the highest state of Vishnu, the all pervading. This is that. It's the highest goal. So, this is that. What is that? So, here, that person sees this very Brahman who sees the firstborn, Hiranyagarbha, born before the five elements. Born before the five elements? Yeah. From where? From consciousness. We'll come down to it slowly. Yeah. Which is Brahman, as existing in the cavity of the heart, in the midst of the body and senses, having entered there. Here it is. That's important. It is not something that's now only outside me. The firstborn, where is that firstborn? Do I need to go to some other place to see that firstborn? Because here you say, he sees this very Brahman, this firstborn, aforesaid Brahman. Do I need to go there? No. That Brahman, the reality, has entered into the cave of the heart. Here, the word is Goham Pravishta, entered into the cavity of the heart. What heart? Is that the physical heart? No, it's not nothing to do with the physical heart. It means the cave of the intellect. The intellect now is kind of looking outwards. That's intelligence. It's not looking within itself to find that very entity, which is here. It's only in me? Obviously, no. It has entered into the cavity of every heart. This should have been there. As existing in the cavity of the heart, of every heart. Where? Where's the heart? Yeah, in the midst of the body and senses. Yeah, there it is. So you have a body and you have senses and you have something called the intellect, the mind. The highest faculty of the mind stuff is called intellect. And within that intellect, within, as it were, has gone penetrated deep into it, is that reality sitting down there in all intellects, in all. Now we might say, what about these birds and beasts? They don't have intelligence. Oh, really? No, that is a kind of very insolent way of looking at reality, and that's what we need to change. And because of our old perceptions, our old ideas about the world, we have been degrading this world. Oh, they got no mind. They are lower beings. Nothing like that. There's no such thing as lower beings and higher beings. It's simple as that. Wherever there's life, there is something called mind. And these ideas are now being presented by scientists. It's not only here that your intellect remains. You find now neurons even in your gut. You have neurons, of course, in your spinal cord. There are some neurons even found in the heart, the physical heart of a rat. They have found it in the labs now, and they were amazed. Yeah. So it's not the intelligence is not just exclusive to human beings. So here in the cavity of the heart, so wherever there's life, there will be intelligence. There is intelligence. In human beings, we have the capacity to, as it were, turn back the eyes. As this section itself has started, Paranchikani Vratrinath Swayambhu. That is, the self-existent Lord made the senses go outwards. That is why people see outward things. A rare discriminating person, that is, a rare discerning person, turns eyes inwards and beholds the self. Eyes, not these eyes, the focus of the intelligence. So this is what that person sees, this very aforesaid Brahman. This Brahman. What? Who sees the Brahman? This person. How? To see, to experience. Because in Indian philosophy, it is to see is to experience. And actually, what we see, we experience, of course. And what we experience, we see. Who sees this firstborn, Hiranyagarbha? So, when you experience or when you realize the Hiranyagarbha, the firstborn, you also experience that absolute Brahman. Now, what is this absolute Brahman? Okay, fine. That absolute Brahman, for the time being, let's keep it aside. Because here, the second line in this verse explains the intermediate state between the firstborn and that supreme reality called Brahman. Born before the five elements from consciousness, Brahman. Now, what's that? The word actually used is tapasa. No. So the firstborn is born from tapasa. What is that tapasa? It is knowledge, satyam, it is truth, and it is infinite, and it is bliss, satyam, jnanam, anantam, Brahma. Wow. So this is, and it is in one of the other Upanishads called Mundaka, you have tapasa chiyate Brahma. So Brahman expands through tapasa, knowledge. Tasya jnanamaya tapad. His austerity, tapas, is knowledge. So as knowledge keeps expanding, what emerges out is Hiranyagarbha. So this tapasa, what is this tapasa? Okay, tapas. Tapas is nothing but a stage of reality even before Hiranyagarbha, before the firstborn. Now, if the firstborn, we have this idea. A firstborn is an effect. The child is born. The child is an effect. What's the cause? Tapasa. That knowledge and that infinite bliss and reality. That is called Ishwara. So, what is Ishwara? Ishwara is the cause of the effect, Hiranyagarbha, called the firstborn. Now, this is, I think, a little clear. Ishwara, what is Ishwara? It's called that consciousness as delimited by the five elements of Prakriti or Maya. When both Prakriti or Maya and consciousness, as it were, blend together, you have something called Ishwara. That is the sum total of everything. That gives birth to Hiranyagarbha. So, so here he says, anyone, anyone, you, me, yes, as there's a qualification. Anyone can see this first one. Who can? Those who desire liberation. If you want liberation, you will get it. And what is liberation? Oh, you see, I'm free from all bonds. That's the ordinary idea of liberation. What really is liberation is you suddenly experience the entirety of creation. You are free from the prison house of your own individuality, which you had thought about as being the most real of all real. Suddenly you find the reality, the extensive reality, the whole of it. So where do you find it? You go to run about here and there? You don't have to run about here and there. Go inside here. Here it is. That reality is shining in the cave of your own intelligence. And that's why there's a cavity of the heart. See, when you go, suppose you're doing hiking, okay, and then you see that the mouth of the cave, of a cave, and you wonder what's there inside. Maybe there's a kind of animal. Maybe there's something. Maybe who knows? And you kind of keep on uh, throwing in pebbles, kind of something to to frighten whatever inside to come out, and I can go and explore it. We don't know. There might be deep water. There might be anything. There might be a big gorge. You do not know as you enter the cave of the god. In ordinary cases, you find, yeah, there is a mouth, but it's promising, yes, but I don't know the dangers. I could be eaten by some tiger inside. Who knows? So I keep on trying to sound it out. And after a long time, nothing is coming out. I wait. Still, I wait. Maybe that whatever is there is sleeping. Maybe. But after a long wait, saying probably there's another gate, another opening behind this, or it has escaped or something like that. Whatever. So I take a kind of a torch, and then I slowly start entering. And as I get inside deeper and deeper, I find, wow, I thought it's kind of a small cave and I have to crawl in. But as I'm going deeper and deeper inside, it's going so vast. Right now, I don't know what's at the end of the tunnel or the end of the cave. But there must be something. In this case, as you keep on through your meditation and prayers and worship, your mind, as it were, has become one pointed and is entering into its own depths. The intellect is entering into its own depths, as it were. Like you have a nice telescope, but you haven't adjusted the lenses. You will not be able to see anything. So, what do? You keep on adjusting those lenses. And when the lenses, the out external and internal eyepiece are adjusted, you will be able to see. Similarly, as you keep on going inside, the intellect, as it were, has the capacity to look within its own depths, to look within itself. And what happens is, as you go inside, what do you find? Something to be frightened of? No, you don't have to be frightened of. Why? Because here, Guham Pravishtatishtanti, that reality, that entirety of the real, whatever you have conceived of, is even smaller than what really there is of the reality. Because we see only one plane of reality, the gross. There are very subtle planes of reality. And all these planes do exist. And you will see this whole reality in the cave of your heart, cave of the intellect.
But it's such a small space.
Yeah, in India, we have this saying, hmm,
Mhm.
Bindu me Sindhu. That is, you can see the whole of this ocean in a drop of water. If you can see the whole ocean in a drop of water, you have knowledge. Yeah. You see, the drop of water is emerged from the ocean. Can you see that ocean in that drop of water? Well, if you can, you have knowledge. So, Bindu me Sindhu. Ah, the point, in that point, the whole exists. So, in the cave of your heart, you will realize why. Because it has entered there. Who? That firstborn. Really? Yeah. So I am a part, or I am a kind of a small aspect of that firstborn, and everything else also is a part of the firstborn. Because after the firstborn, we are the second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh, and we have now how many? About 7.5 billion people, or it's been 4.5 billion years since, or 13.8 billion years since the creation began. Earth began 4.5 billion years, or evolution began some million years ago, or whatever. Well, we are all born after this. What I'm trying to get it. So the firstborn is there, and what has happened? That firstborn has entered into its creation. In fact, not only entered, it is creation. This is much better. So that firstborn is creation. Now this is clear. And as we are also within creation, we are also there, aspects of this first one. Now, suppose you say, yeah, I am. When you say I, you are a collection of about a trillion cells. Each cell has its own individuality. You take that one cell out from your body, or few cells, and you keep it separate, keep them in a nutrient rich atmosphere or a solution, you put it there, and you'll see those individual cells behaving as if they were individuals really and separately from you. Though they were part of you and they don't bother about you, who you are. None of your reality has gone into them. So we are, all of us are actually a collection of small parts, smaller and smaller and smaller parts that make up the whole. We say, I am this. You don't say, I am a collection of a trillion cells, biological cells, plus a few trillion cells of bacteria and a few trillion cells of virus. No, we don't say that. Why? We should have been saying that. No, we don't. But what do we say? This is me. Hi, how are you? I'm fine. Okay, good. Oh, thanks. Good to know you're fine. In a similar way, the firstborn Hiranyagarbha is all this, and we are, as it were, a few cells in that body. Now, you see, what happens is how does Hiranyagarbha ever enter into that cave of the intellect? Well, Hiranyagarbha has become everything, but Hiranyagarbha, or the first cosmic person in its subtle aspect of the universe, where is that? We see everything as gross. Yes, that subtle cosmic reality called Hiranyagarbha then transforms itself, the subtle elements, through a combination of those five elements, permutation combinations, or the three gunas, they become grosser and grosser and grosser. It's like, there's a breeze blowing here. And it's subtle, we can't see, but you can feel it. Now, suppose this breeze becomes stronger, and like we have seen, it can lift me, lift this table, lift everything up, lift this piano. What has happened? That subtle breeze has become grosser and grosser and grosser and grosser. So the subtle Hiranya Garbha becomes grosser and grosser and grosser and grosser and grosser, and we see this perceptible universe here. This is what it is. So here is saying the he's saying the exact word Jatamabhya, born earlier than actually water. So Jatam Adbhya, Adbhya is water. So the commentator Shankaracharya says it's not just water; it's all the five subtle elements. Like you're saying, okay, uh, what's here? The body is made up of almost everything is water, 70% water. But the ocean or the earth is made up 60, 70, 80% of water. What's water? So taking a predominant kind of element and saying by implication it means everything else. Is the earth only made of water? Well, no, it has land mass, it has mountains, there's trees and forests and all. When you say water, it means everything that's combined. When you say the earth is blue, well, yeah, it is blue, it has other colors also. So it was born even before the waters. Purva Majada. The idea is that so it was born even before the five, we can see, gross elements. So those elements are in the uncompounded state, in the causal state. And what is that in the causal state? The elements in the uncompounded causal state. We just can't understand. Okay, you don't have to break your head over that. In Vedanta, it's called Ishwara. That consciousness of Brahman reflected in that causal, uncompounded elements, or in Maya, or in Prakriti. That is Ishvara. From that tapasa, from that, and Ishvara being the cause of not only this universe, it's a cause of Hiranyagarbha. And that Hiranyagarbha then transforms itself into this gross universe, which has another designation called Virat. So, just to have a kind of a philosophical, you can say, division between these three entities, which is actually one. Like Sri Ramakrishna says, there's the mother is there. She's the mother to her children. She is the wife to her husband. She is a daughter to her parents. And she is a granddaughter to her grandparents. One entity has kind of different appellations, understood differently. This is one entity. So it's actually one entity called Ishwara. The same is called Hiranyagarbha, and the same is called Virat. Okay, it depends on how, on which level of intelligence or realizations we are actually viewing it. It's the same thing. So if I see you from the side, it's you. I see you from the front, I see you from the back, it's you. If I see you in my dream, it's you. Hey, what's that? So it's that one reality appearing as different grades. Of what? Of reality? No, of perception, of your perception. So that's why here it is said, okay, Tishtantham remains an existent, Bhutebhya, in all elements, in the midst of body and the senses, perceiving sound, and that keeps on kind of experiencing everything. So, what we are doing right now, we are actually experiencing this reality, but there's a kind of a thin screen that's come. What is that thin screen? It's a sense of individuality. I am separate from the universe. The moment I see, oh, I am one with this universe. And what happens to the eye? The eye goes and you see this Hiranyagarbha or this Virat. You know, Sri Ramakrishna, one time, he was going to pluck a few flowers from a tree for worship. And as he plucked a few flowers, he found the sap oozing out from that broken branch, the twig. And immediately he had the vision of the Virat, the cosmic person in its gross aspect. And he saw that all the flowering trees and all trees and everything are like the garlands round that neck of that cosmic person. So why do you have to break up a twig which holds a flower to worship a image of a god or a goddess? The whole thing is that god or goddess. You don't have to. So you say after that, I could not pluck any flower. He's saying, yeah, it's like that constant worship is constantly going on. Trees are blooming, so beautiful flowers, so beautiful leaves. Oh, you take it and like these are the flowers as if after the worship of that Virat, that cosmic person, they're left. Everything is a worship that's constantly going on. Why do you want to keep on kind of breaking things and damaging things and hurting things? It's that one reality everywhere. So, what makes this reality unreal? This I and mine. Rama was the incarnation. He had his brother Lakshmana. Lakshmana says, "What is this Maya?" Rama says, "This I and mine is Maya. My or mera, tu or tera. That is me and mine, you and yours. This is Maya." And Sri Ramakrishna says, "What is this Maya? This ego, this I. It is that which kind of hides this reality from us, as it were." So, this is the meaning of that we have to now enter there inside. We still have a little time. We can go. The 10th, the 7th verse also is nothing but this idea explained further. The individual and the cosmic. As within one entity. Ya pranena samvavati aditir devatamayi guham pravrishyatistantim ya bhute bhirvyajayata etadvaita etadvaita. This is that Atman, the self that Nachiketa was inquiring about. This is that self. And the second line of this verse corresponding it corresponds to the second line in the previous verse. Guham pravrishyatishthantim, because it's a feminine gender, is kind of here. And the previous verse is Guham pravishyatishtantam. That's a masculine, yes, that's the same. It's the same. So Guham pravishyatishtantim, it has entered into the cave. It has entered and is existing there in the cave of your intellect. So here it is. That person sees, that very Brahman who sees that this Aditi, comprising of all the deities, who takes birth as Hiranyagarbha, who is manifested in association with the elements, and who is seated in the cavity of the heart after entering there. So here, so there in the previous verse, it was tapasa, from where Hiranyagarbha, the first born, emerged. Here, instead of the word tapasa, the word aditi is given. Okay, so we'll come down to it. So just remember, like you have a lump, the scriptures give example. You have a lump of gold, and from that lump of gold, you fashion a necklace and bangles and earrings and nose rings and the lot. So it's nothing but gold. You are now calling it by different names like necklaces. It's bright, it's thick, it's long, but it's gold, please. So that one reality transforms itself into various names and forms. That's a better kind of thing. So it's a one reality. So don't think I am more real than this. Please. Even that is a transformation of that same reality. It's only I feel I am so good and so great. I am so holy. I am the best in the world. See this whole world kind of useless? Oh, I see. And this is how it dilutes you. Be careful of this I, which tells you this is what you are. There's nothing equal to you. When you come out in the world, get a few blows on the world, then you know there are people better than you in every aspect. And then you're cut down to size. So, what does a spiritual person? How does that spiritual person cut himself or herself down to size? By looking about and seeing this vast universe. Vast, you just can't imagine this universe, such an ancient. Can you think about 1 year? You were there last year. Can you imagine 1 year? What will you do? You will pick up a few contents in your memory about that 1 year, and that also you're mixed up with that. You just can't even imagine 1 year. Now try to visualize this whole universe is so ancient, billions and billions. We just can't. If you can attempt, keep on attempting, you will be humbled in this vast mass of this universe. Where exactly you are, you know, and you made such a big noise about Oh, there's nothing so greater than me. You will find in nature itself the display of life and its variety is so astounding. Look carefully at this universe. That is the best form of worship. That's the best way to break this idea of superiority. There are there are beings, there's life forms that are so complex and so super fine, unbelievable. So if you when you look at that, that itself constitutes a type of spirituality. You go in the temple and ring a few bells loudly and make a big noise about throwing these flowers and here and there. It's better to see this. Open your eyes and see this. It is that one lump of gold that has become transformed into all these forms. That is the spirituality that human beings of today need it. We are seeing all this trouble here because of this George Floyd who has kind of he was killed. It's a big shame on all of us. It's a slur on all of us that we can do such things to others. It's just impossible. Why? That's the very grossest form of there's nothing superior than me. See? And it has, thank God, that death has act as a catalyst to awaken all of us. And it is necessary. But we stay awake. We stay aware of the vaster reality where everyone is actually equal. As consciousness, we are all equal. You may have greater strength, physical strength than me. You may have greater intellectual capacity than me. But on the final analysis, we are all one. That will bring a solidarity to the human race, which is right now in its the most divisive form of existence. Everybody thinks that there's nothing more bigger, better than me, or my community, all these things. So here he says that person sees that very Brahman, that reality, that very Aditi. Now, Aditi, let's talk about Aditi. What is Aditi? Now, the word Aditi, it means boundless or infinite. And the word uses Aditi Devatamai. That is the soul of all the gods, the soul of everything. In the mythological literature, later on you'll find that the one of the first mothers of the human race was Aditi. She was also the mother of the gods, the Adityas, the group of gods called Adityas. Adityana Maham Vishnu. Even Vishnu is one of the Adityas, 12 Adityas. The sun is one of the Adityas.
What does Aditya mean?
Aditya is the sun. So, so these group of gods, Adityas, she is the mother of all these gods, Aditi. That came much later. So she is found in the Vedic literature, and towards now we call Durga also the mother of all the gods. She is Aditi. The Vedantin will explain Aditi as that which Adana, which experiences, which takes in everything, in which everything merges there. She is the source of heavens and hells and gods and demons and humans and animals and birds and everything. devours everything, and from there it emerges. Okay. So this is that one reality. That's it. So from there also, what is that? Even Hiranya Garbha emerges from there, from Aditi. So it's like that person sees that very Brahman who sees that Aditi comprising all the deities. All the deities? Yes, all the deities. Where are the deities? Well, Vedanta says that's a kind of separate mm, topic. We have been discussing this in some of our Svetashvatra Upanishad classes, that all the gods, they have the universal aspect and the individual aspects also. And your body and mind has got different aspects of those deities. So Aditi comprises all the deities. Who takes birth as Hiranyagarbha, so that Aditi who transforms into that Hiranyagarbha, the compounded now subtle elements. Aditi is the uncompounded causal elements. So Aditi can be equated with Ishwara also, who is manifested in association with the elements, yeah, with all the elements. Because when you know there's some matter, you will find that consciousness reflected there. This has been kind of discussed for the last few 29 classes. We will proceed with that. And who is seated in the cavity of the heart after entering? There. So after entering cavity of the heart, that is, it exists there to birth. Okay. So we stop here for today, and we take the next two verses, which are the continuation of the subject matter. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Paramastu. Thank you.
There it is. All right, nice. Oh.